Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV. Here we are.
Intelligent black people, and we are here just being black and cool and intelligent, and we are here to also talk about the things that are happening in the world. And so today's a Sunday, so I thought that I would come in and talk to you guys about something that I read in the media that I thought was really, really interesting. As you come into the chat, please hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button. Wherever you live, wherever you are, please hit those buttons and let me know that you're here. Also, give me a yes or no. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. This is a different kind of layout, and so I want to make sure everybody can see me and hear me. So just say something in the chat. Maybe type your B1 in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Let me know what city that you're coming from. Okay, I see you, Mr. GQ. What's going on, Vic? How you doing, man? PG Beats, the Plus, Houston, Texas. Okay, I love Houston, man. Houston is one of my favorite cities. Willie D out of Houston was going to be at my wedding in July, but it's starting to look like we ain't having no wedding in July. Not a live wedding. We're just trying to decide what kind of wedding we want to have. If we want it to be virtual, if we want to move the date back a year or what. But it's just not looking like a wedding is a good idea, for us right now. Given the state of the country, the United States is kind of in an unprecedented, or a situation that we haven't been in maybe 100 years or so. And I just think it's time to face reality and just kind of know things are going to be a little bit different. So we are still getting married. We're just not going to likely do it the way that we thought we would. And it kind of sucks. I know, it makes me sad. But either way, though, it's all good. It's all good. And I see you, Tehran, in Atlanta. And I see Clarence Jr. How are you? And I see Nashville. Nashville, can see and hear you fine. Okay, thank you very much for clarifying on that for me. I appreciate that. That helps me very, very much. All right, so let's hop into this conversation. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about. I don't know if you guys know this. Give me a yes or no if you knew that the stimulus checks, that if you owe child support and your state has reported your child support debt to the feds, that you are not going to get a stimulus check. Did you guys know that? Let me know if you knew that that the stimulus check was going to get cut off for you if you owe child support. And I don't know how many of you knew about that or not, but I just read that and I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, mind you, if you owe other types of debt, like if you owe tax debt, you'll still get your money. If you owe student loan debt, you'll still get your money. But child support, no money. No money goes out to you if you owe child support, and if the feds are aware that you owe that child support. So I want to ask you guys this question. Give me a yes or no. Do you agree with that decision? Yes or no? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no if you think that's yes if you think it's a good decision. No if you think it's a BS decision. Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Let me see. I'm gonna throw some of your comments on the screen. I got this really cool setup here. It's I just figured out some new features here, so I can actually pop in and throw your comments on the screen if you have a really good one. So Jamie says, "I knew it. That's just how they do things." So she says it's sad. I see Fudge 34 says yes. Mercedes says no. Okay, all right. So I see some yeses and some nos. I see a mixed bag in here. Very much aware of the check restrictions, says Antonio Ward. All right, so let's see who else. I didn't even think about that shit, says Omar. I read that will be offset, says Alex. Okay, I don't know what that means exactly. What about bad credit and school debt? Yeah, there's a lot of interesting dynamics to this, and so I thought that just kind of as a financial guy, maybe I could provide some perspective on it, a little bit of insight. And so what I'm going to do is kind of lay out some quick thoughts for you to consider. I don't think this is the kind of topic where there is a definite yes or definite no, a definite right or a definite wrong. in terms of how this should be viewed. I think that when you're talking about something like child support, is very sensitive, and a lot of us are easily triggered on child support. Just to give you my story, I mean, I paid 18 years of child support for my daughter, and I'm just gonna tell you the truth, it was not that much fun. I didn't enjoy it, not because I didn't enjoy supporting my child. I mean, I grew up with a real man in the house, and real men take care of their kids. Can we at least get an amen on that? Give me an amen if you agree that real men should go out of the way to take care of their children. And I've always believed that. And so, when it came to providing, for my family, that's never been an issue, and it's never been an issue because I decided early that it wasn't going to be an issue. In fact, when I was 18 years old and I went off to the University of Kentucky, I had never made good grades in my life, but the reason I made good grades, the reason I decided to turn my academic life around was because I said, I'll be damned if my child grows up and it has to say my dad couldn't provide for me. My dad was a deadbeat financially, and that's what I did. That was my driving force. That's what led me to kind of flip the script and do things a little bit different. Because again, up until that point, I'd never made good grades before. But University of Kentucky, I was the number one black student on the entire campus. I mean, it wasn't even close. Like, I blew away the competition. Like, the black students, the white students, it was a pretty interesting experience because I was very, very driven. And the number one driving factor was, in this world, in this life, as a black man, I was not going to be no punk. It just wasn't going to happen. It ain't happening. No. Because as a man, I think you can at least make a commitment to try your best. As a man, you may not always win, but you got to at least make a commitment to always do your best and to always say, like, okay, you might kill me, you might take me out, but you're gonna have to throw everything you got at me because I am not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. So that's just a little tidbit in terms of what I think is kind of a model of manhood that you may want to consider, because we got too many punks out here. We got too many men that give up too easily. And now, don't get me wrong. Y'all know that some of the sisters got issues too. We all know that. We all know a black woman or two. It looks like on Instagram, you guys weren't able to hear me clearly, so I hit that button, so maybe you can hear me a little bit better. Let me know on Instagram if you can hear me okay. So we know we got some women that got issues as well, for sure. I see that on a regular basis. But, the thing about men is that I think that for black men, you got to understand that they designed this world for you to be a punk. They designed this world for you to be a loser. They designed this world for you to be a little boy or a little girl. You can choose. You can go the Billy Porter route. Somebody actually said this to me the other day that I thought was really interesting. She said that she talked to a brother who actually told her that he wasn't straight, but he pretended to be gay. And she said, why would you pretend to be gay? He said, because it's easier as a black man to navigate the world as a gay person than it is as a straight person. He said, I can get into situations I'm not seen as a threat. I get opportunities. And I thought that was really interesting, an interesting perspective. And really, actually, if you look at statistics, like if you look at who in corporate America, there's only one group in corporate America that actually, according to these stats that I saw, I got to go dig them back up again. But the only group I saw that in corporate America that makes the same amount of money as the white male is the gay black man. I don't know if y'all know that, but the gay black man actually does very well in corporate America. So what does this say? What does this mean? It just kind of means that, this country wasn't designed for a black man to stand on his feet. It was designed for you to live on your knees, live on your back, or live with your hands around your ankles. Like you're supposed to be down there gripping your ankles so somebody can fuck you. And I just really think that as black men, I think we have to understand that and we have to confront that. And I think that those who are raising a black man have to help him realize that, because you got a lot of guys that just give up. And the thing is, you may not come up, but you can't never give up. You may not rise up, but don't you ever give up. And that's it. And so anyway, and where did I get that? I got that from my father. And that's why I think it's very, very sad that we have a society, and it's usually these fucking liberals, excuse my French. It makes me angry. That's why I just have to say it like I'm feeling it. These liberals are the ones who tell you that you don't need a daddy. They're the ones who started telling you in the 1960s and 70s that they could replace a government check in government housing with an actual father in the house. They said, no, you don't need a man in the house. we're going to be the man of your house. You don't need a father in the house. We'll be your daddy. And it's because I remember watching. It was something about a housing project in Atlanta. And they were talking about, they had these white liberal women, these social workers talking about, well, we wanted to just do what was best for the children. And when you set up these programs, you want to make sure that the children are taken care of and that the family is secure. And I'm sitting there thinking, if you really wanted to help those children, you would help the daddy get on his fucking feet so that those children can have a father in the house. Seriously. Like, it's crazy to me. Like if you really want to, but again, see, that's the thing. And that's what you got to understand. They don't really want to help. They don't really want to help the family. They don't really want to help you. And so maybe one way I want to help you is I want to help you understand that I want to help you by helping you understand that they don't want to help you. They ain't trying to help you. They're trying to control and manage you. Seriously, anyway, so I thought about all these are all the thoughts that come into my head when I see something like what I saw with this stimulus check and the child support issue, because there's a whole lot of really interesting and really overwhelming dynamics that come into play when you talk about the black father, the black family, child support, all of that, relationships, all these things. And so I'm going to break some of this down. I'm going to try to keep it in a box so I don't confuse people, because sometimes my brain goes everywhere and I have 1,000 things I want to say. And my ADHD is my superpower, so I'm actually glad I have it, but sometimes I got to control it so you guys can understand what I'm saying and not get confused or not get overwhelmed with me throwing too much at you at one time. But do me a favor if you could you please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And also, I mentioned to you guys that we have Black Movie Night as a solution to the fact that Hollywood misportrays black people on a regular basis. I'm sick of it. And I don't believe in just sitting around complaining and whining about it. I believe in doing something about it. So we created Black Movie Night to feature independent black films and black directors of those films and actors and actresses in those films. We want to create our own movie stars. We want to create our own, Academy Awards. We want to create our own version of whatever Hollywood's been doing. We believe we can do it ourselves. So Black Movie Night is on April 2nd. It's free of charge. You guys can come in totally free. We're going to watch Raising a Black Scholar, directed by Tierra K.J. Williams. We're also going to bring in some homeschool experts to kind of talk about the black homeschool movement, answer some questions for any of you who are thinking about keeping your kids home for good. I think this quarantine is an opportunity for your children to escape the plantation forever. And so who knows? Maybe you find a way to make a little extra money. You get to stay home every day. I'm going to tell you, I've been staying home for 20 years. It's fun. It's really fun. I promise you. It's like the best life ever, right? And then you get to spend time with your family. I was on the phone today with my mama. I talked to my daddy. I talked to the kids, and I do that every day. Like even on a Tuesday, I ain't got to be like, well, Mama, I'd like to talk to you, but I'm at work. Cause boss is coming, and if the boss come in, then I got to go, and I'm gonna get in trouble, Mama. I got to ask to use the bathroom, right? No, that's not. I don't think that's fun. So that's what it's all about. So if you want to register, just go to blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. Thousands of you have registered, and I'm gonna just tell you a little secret. The Zoom room will hold 1,000 people. 1,000 people can get in. That's when it cuts off, and then we'll try to do overflow. We'll try to stream it, but we may not be able to stream it. So if you want to get there, make sure you get there early, like get there a couple minutes early, so you can be one of the first ones let in. Because once it hits 1,000, what happens is like 3,000 people will register, and less than 1,000 will show up. That's the math, right? But it could be a case that more than 1,000 show up. So just make sure you get there early so you can get in. Blackmovienight.net. So anyway, here's what I want to lay out for you. You mentioned the shirt. Oh, the shirt. Yeah, this is Damon Dash's brand. Damon Dash, Damon's been a friend of mine for years. And I had actually, before we even became friends, I'd actually bought this shirt. And I really, or somebody, maybe I got it as a gift, but I really liked it. And I like Dame. I think he's a smart guy. So anyway, here's what I want to kind of lay out for you in terms of this whole stimulus check and the child support thing. A couple of things. From a financial standpoint, I want to continue to reiterate to you the significance of understanding that how you bring children into this world is deeply connected to your financial situation. How you bring kids into this planet, whether you choose to get married and have a structured situation, or even not get married and have a structured situation. Maybe have your children with one person, or have a bunch of babies mama spread out all over the earth. How you approach that has a direct and immediate and substantial impact on your ability to ever build wealth or ever to accomplish your goals. Just relationships in general, just as a phenomenon in itself, are very complex, and they are things that can really help you accumulate your wealth, or they can distract from your wealth. They can undermine your wealth. They can destroy your wealth. The list just goes on and on. Like today, I just watched a really great documentary about Myron Rolle. Myron Rolle is a brother who actually left the NFL so that he could become a surgeon. He's a neurosurgery resident at Mass General Hospital, very exclusive hospital. I think he actually went to Harvard Medical School or something like that. And he was a great football player. I mean, I knew him as a football player. I didn't know that he had all this other stuff going on. I have a lot of respect for this guy. And you remember, if you recall, there was a whole crazy situation where he had, I guess, kind of hooked up a little bit with Amanda Seals, that stupid comedian that's on The View or The Real or The Talk or one of those dumb shows. I forgot which one. And so Amanda, for whatever reason, goes out and basically says, that Myron did all these things that, where there's no proof, there's no evidence, there's no nothing. And basically, she was painting him as, as a predator or as a whatever, right? And now the thing is, he didn't rape her, he didn't assault her, he didn't, to my knowledge, right? I don't even think they slept together, but she basically pushed her interpretation of their interaction out to the world. Now, fortunately, you got great women like Vicky Dillard who just call that bullshit out. Vicky went out of her way to basically, call out the fact that Amanda in many ways got caught in a lie. A lot of people call BS on what she was saying. And basically it was one of these things where, for whatever reason, because Amanda was not happy with Myron, she decided that she was just going to go out here and just say these crazy things about this guy. And I can imagine he was mortified because he spent his whole life, living a model life, like Kobe Bryant, staying out of trouble. He went to Harvard Law School. He's doing the right things. But she's basically saying this nigga ain't shit. He ain't nothing but a rapist. He ain't nothing but a whatever, right? And so my point is saying all this is to say that relationships in themselves are very complicated for all people, men and women. And for a black man, they're complicated because just from the jump, hanging out with the wrong women can cause you to lose everything. If things had gone left, Myron could have lost his whole reputation. People wouldn't have respected him anymore. You never know if somebody could have showed up and put him in handcuffs or whatever. Because anybody who runs out in public and screams and hollers about, something terrible that they say a black man did to them, they don't have to actually provide proof. They just have to say it, and people will believe it because it's a black man, right? And that's what it is, right? So why do I connect that to, the child support conversation and, and child support keeping you from getting your stimulus check? Well, because it makes me think about the fact that, for everybody, men and women, choosing who you have in your life is really important. And we all make that mistake. I mean, I have. I've made mistakes by dating the wrong woman. I've made mistakes also by doing business with the wrong women. I've even had times where, I realized somebody wasn't good for my space, good for my life. I cut them off. Next thing you know, they're on the internet screaming, Dr. Boyce Watkins is a fraud. Dr. Boyce Watkins is this and that. And because people can lean on that. People can lean on this idea that if you say the black man did it, a lot of people are just going to believe you just because you said it. Just because in their mind, they're thinking about black men that they've run into. Maybe they hate their father from childhood. Yeah, my dad wasn't shit, so he ain't shit either. Every black man ain't shit because my daddy wasn't shit. Or some black man who did something terrible to them or whatever. And so effectively, I think, for men, you got to be real thoughtful and careful about what women you allow into your life, just for that reason alone. The wrong woman can destroy you. She can milk you for all your money. She can ruin your reputation by just, all she got to do is cry a little bit and tell a story about you, and the next thing you know, everybody's going to believe it. There are a lot of ways that a black man can be destroyed by that, and also women as well. I know great women. I know extraordinary women who have died because they dated the wrong man. There was a professor I knew who was winning all kinds of awards, and she was really a big shot, and her husband was a loser, and he killed her. and he killed the kid, or sorry, he killed her and killed himself, and their 4-year-old, their 3-year-old and their 4-year-old had no parents. Like, that's how crazy that was, right? So choosing who you allow into your space right there is a big deal. Now, let's go to the next level. The next level is, when you talk about having children with a person. Building a family with another person is a lot like, it's very similar to building a business with another person. A lot of the same principles that come into talking about business development actually connect to talking about family development, right? That, if you can't build a solid, consistent family situation, it's extremely difficult to build a solid situation in almost any other area of your life. Because what will happen is that a bad, crazy, messed up, sloppy family situation will spill over into everything else that you're doing. It'll distract you from being able to do other things. So if you talk about having kids, first of all, kids are expensive. The average child takes about $250,000 to raise. So if you have, if you go out here and you make 8 kids with 7 women, then right there you've committed to about a $2 million debt. $2 million debt that you're going to pay for the next 18 years at least, right? So I'm not telling people what to do. I don't tell guys, what to do with their body parts. I don't tell women what to do with their body parts. I just think that it's very important. In our household, our number one word that we use in the household that I repeat to the kids 1,000 times is a word called accountability. I go through the house and I say, this is the house of accountability, y'all. Accountability. Who said they were going to do the dishes? Whose cup is that? Did you say you said you were going to sweep the floor? Accountability. And I want them to get sick of that word because that's a very important word, right? The choices we make, we have accountability there. And I think that there are people that haven't quite learned that because, tell me if you've ever seen this. Have you ever seen a guy who has a bunch of kids with a bunch of women and then he can't pay the child support and he's falling behind, they're garnishing his wages. He's got to go underground just so he can make a little money and not have it all taken. Or he's in court crying because he can't pay the child support. And it's very weird because you're kind of like, well, who made those babies? Were you not there? Are you falsely accused of getting a woman pregnant? Was somebody else fucking her that day? Is that what happened? Like you really want to ask that, and it's fine. I mean, it's not me making fun of people because we all do that. We all do things that have huge consequences, and then we almost act like somebody else did it. Because I don't think that a word like accountability is a heavily enough used word in our society. I don't think that the word accountability or responsibility or self-determination, I don't think those concepts are very popular in our community, to be honest with you. And I don't blame black people. I blame, because your grandparents had that. Your grandparents had double accountability because they knew the white man wasn't going to save them. They knew social programs wasn't going to save them. They knew nobody else was going to save them. They knew that they had to take responsibility for the outcomes of their choices. For some reason, I think there's something to this idea that because we bought into this idea that being black is almost like being disabled or handicapped, we've let go of our commitment to accountability. And I think that's where you get these men that have children and feel like, well, that's not my child. I ain't got to take care of that. I ain't got to worry about that. Or we'll get mad because you then ask them, like, okay, you had a baby, you got to take care of the baby. Like, you can't just keep going and making babies. Like, in fact, actually, I'm pretty hardcore with it. I'm almost to the point where if you've had so many kids with so many women and you can't take care of those kids, I'm okay with giving you the option where we strongly incentivize you to either snip your shit, or we just basically say, like, you're not allowed to have any more pussy. No more pussy for you. Like, the vagina is not on the menu for you because we need to get you focused on getting your shit together before you destroy some more people's lives. Because chances are, if you're raw dogging like that, you probably got a bunch of diseases. You probably got the coronavirus times 2. So instead of letting you run around giving women the coronavirus, we're gonna slow you down a little bit so we can help you focus and learn and understand what accountability looks like. But then again, remember though, it takes 2 to tango, right? So we can't let women off the hook on any of this. We understand, we got women that will still go sleep with this guy without thinking about the fact that, that the men you choose to let into your bed could be the fathers of your children. So again, because I'm an asshole like that, this is why so many people hate me. This is why I'm in some spaces I might be the most loved person in the world. In other spaces I'm the most hated person in the world, and I'm okay. You just keep hating me because I'm gonna keep on telling you the truth. At the end of the day, I'm sitting here looking at when you complaining to me for 8 hours about how much you hate your baby daddy, your baby daddies, right, plural, or what terrible things they did to you. I have only so much empathy for you. I can only have so much sympathy because I'm sitting there thinking, why would you choose to let a man like that in your bedroom? Why would you let a man like that be the father of your child? That doesn't make any sense to me. That wasn't a very intelligent decision, right? But then again, that's what it is, right? Love and sex is not a logical exercise. It is emotional. It's physical. We feel lust. We go with the flow, right? And here's the thing, though. Here's what I really believe. This is me just giving you game that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Because everybody else want to tell you that it's somebody else's fault. Everybody else is going to tell you that there's nothing you can do. Everybody else is going to tell you that this is just the way it's going to be, and this is the way it was supposed to be, and that being black, it means you have a disability. You damn near like a retarded kid. Like you're not capable of making smart decisions. So if you want to feel better, if you want somebody that's going to make you feel better about your bullshit, then go talk to them. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who's going to come to you and kind of say, okay, look, here's the reality, man. If you really care about your life, if you really care about your children, if you really care about the situations that you're going to end up in, you're going to have to look in the mirror and confront some of the bad choices you make and the bad habits that lead you to make those choices. Because I understand it. I understand it. I mean, I'm a man. I'm a heterosexual man. And every heterosexual man in here, raise your hand if you're in this category. All the brothers at some point, I'm sure, have been lured in by a big butt and a smile. Has anybody ever been sucked in by a big butt and a smile? It never goes away. It's like a crack addiction that you're born with as a baby, and you have it for the rest of your life. It's like when Richard Pryor discovered freebase cocaine and he couldn't let it go, right? Like I watched a documentary about Richard yesterday, and you want to talk about a guy with a messed up person. Like this man got married like 7 times, and it was all linked to all these issues from his childhood, right? And the drugs and the women and all that, and it just it created a lot of pain for himself, for his children, for the women he got involved with. I think he was going to marry Pam Grier, and on the day of the wedding, she found out that he was marrying somebody else. Like, I don't know if y'all know this. Go watch it. I forgot what the documentary is called, but I was like, wow, this guy was really crazy. So anyway, everybody gets it, right? And everybody has habits. And I think it's only a person that truly cares about you that is going to push you to honestly confront those habits and to say, yeah, we know that you can easily be lured in by a charming man. We know that a man, that has the smooth talk is going to get into your panties and you can't resist that. I understand that. I respect that. That's love. That's attraction. That's sex. Everybody feels that. But now what? Now what? I mean, do you just surrender to your bad habits and just say, well, I'm black and I was just a dumb nigga. I can't do no better? Or do you say, if I continue down this path, I'm creating a whole lot of agony for myself. I'm creating a whole lot of pain for my children and my future children. I'm creating a lot of really bad situations where a lot of people are going to get hurt. So I got to deal with this addiction. It's no different. My dad revealed to me one time, actually, when he was on the panel, I was really shocked. He mentioned this on the panel, so I can mention it publicly. He talks about when he came back from Vietnam, and he was addicted to heroin because a lot of his friends were using it. It was the 60s, and at that time, drugs weren't seen the way they're seen now. And he came back with a heroin addiction. So he was addicted to dope just like Richard Pryor was. Richard Pryor, he liked to do the freebase. And Daddy talked about the heroin. And I remember I asked him, I said, there's a lot of people that get hooked on heroin and they never get off heroin. I said, how did you walk away from heroin? Because you raised us. Everything was fine. We had a very stable household. I'm like, you never mentioned that little thing about the heroin addiction. And you know what he said? it was real basic. And I like basic, simple shit. I can be complex, right? I'm a professor. I know how to break things down in a complex way. But what I also learned is that when you really understand the complexities, you can break it down to the simplicity. So everything that I say is complex will come back to very basic ideas. And one thing that he said that I loved that was really basic was he said, I knew I just had to make a choice. You know, I could surrender to the drugs, surrender to, you know, just be another deadbeat, be out here like a lot of my friends and keep using dope for the next 20 years and say that, well, the reason that I wasn't a good father is because I was disabled. My drug addiction handicapped me. Right? Because y'all notice that now you got people talking about things like drug addiction and alcoholism like it's a fucking disability, or obesity is a disability. You know, so you look at so then next thing you know, somebody like me gets accused of fat shaming Lizzo when I basically say that I don't know if it's healthy for us to go encourage black people to continue to be even more obese and more unhealthy when we're dying of heart disease and diabetes. Right? Like they will come back, you're fat shaming because she's disabled. Sure, her disability is blah blah. No, that's not no fucking disability. If you get her up and make her jog her fat ass around the block a couple times each day and keep her from eating so much damn sugar, she'll probably lose weight, right? Now, maybe she can't help it, but it's just true. It doesn't mean that I'm going to make fun of you for being overweight. I mean, shit, most black people, we're all overweight. All of us probably fit into some category of unhealthiness on some level because we all grew up, you know, drinking the extra sweet Kool-Aid and eating grandma's fried chicken and all that. All of us. But the way you respond to your limitations, the way you respond to your bad habits says everything about who you are as a person and how free you're trying to be. You know, and my argument is at the end of the day is that, you know, you got to make a choice. Are you going to be free or are you going to be a slave? You know, a slave is a person who says, well, I got this bad habit. There's nothing I can do because I'm disabled and I can't do any better. A free person will either say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and give into this habit. I know I could probably stop eating so many Cheetos every day and lose weight, but I just don't want to. Or they say, you know what, I'm tired of being fat. I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to fix it right now. I don't care what it takes. And that is a mindset you have to be successful in this world, especially as a black person. So when you tell me that you got, you know, 8 kids with 7 women, I'm not going to make fun of you at all. I'm going to completely empathize with your desire to pursue the vagina. Vaginas are a wonderful thing. But at that point, when I'm challenging you and I'm analyzing you, I'm really in my mind probably going to put you in a couple of categories based on how you respond to that situation. So you either respond like a man or you respond like a punk. A punk says, well, I can't get ahead because I got all these children. I can't take care of these babies because they cost too much. And I don't have no money because I'm a black man. And I ain't got no job because the white man won't hire me. He won't give me no opportunities. And I'm just stuck. That's why I can't do it. Right? Well, then if you're a punk, then punks don't deserve all the sex that you was having. Those women shouldn't have even been laying down with you in the first place. You created the situation, you could not handle it, so you should have kept your stuff in your pants, right? The way a man would respond to that situation is this. Either A, he will make a conscious decision to avoid that situation. Shout yourself out if you're in that category. If you're a guy who said, yeah, I made some mistakes, but I learned from my mistakes and I'm not doing that no more because I'm not trying to end up in that situation. Seriously, I had a child out of wedlock. I told you, I understand. You know, my first girlfriend, I was so happy to get a girlfriend. My God, I was trying to give my virginity away since I was 11. Nobody would take it. And so finally, I got a chance to have sex at 17. And she was so pretty and it was amazing. And next thing you know, though, baby's coming out 9 months later. It's like, shit. That is so difficult. Dealing with the child support system is horrible. It is dehumanizing. It is disrespectful. They have no sympathy for you whatsoever. You get damn near treated like an animal when you walk in that court. I hated that feeling. I hated it. But because I learned this word a long time ago called accountability, the way I looked at it was, well, all right, boys, well, you created this situation for yourself. Now you got to deal with it. And how did I deal with it? Well, two things I did. Number one, I paid my shit. I paid every penny of that money they asked me for. And believe me, when I became a professor and was making over $100,000 a year, they was eating in my check like Pac-Man. They was like, and it pissed me off because it felt like taxation without representation. I'm writing all these checks with all this money. I had no say in what was done with the money, none whatsoever. It was very frustrating, but I paid every penny because I learned accountability. And if I couldn't pay every penny, the way my father talked to me is he would say, well, you made that damn baby. Go out and find a way to pay whatever you got to pay. Because that's what you're supposed to do. That's your responsibility. Here's another thing I did. I swore to myself, I said, I am never going to A, have sex without a condom. So I will be wrapping it up because I'm not going to be planting my seed in another situation that's going to cause me to endure this horrible child support system ever again. I'm not going through this shit no more. Like, you've been to jail once, you ain't never going back. You know what I'm talking about? So I said, I'm not doing this no more. And two, if I ever have a child, it's going to be under specific conditions in which I have more of a say in how that child is raised, and that child is going to be in my house. And if I never choose to get married, or I never find the person that I really want to have a child with, then I'm just not going to have no more kids. I'm just going to wait. Or maybe I'll never do it. But believe me, like they say, when they say hurt me once, shame on you, hurt me twice, shame on me, right? I wasn't going to get fooled twice. I was like, you know what? The black women are as sexy as they come, and you come in here, you know, with your nice booty and your high heels on and your short skirt and all that. I mean, I'm gonna notice, but I'm like, nobody. That's the bait. You sucking me in. You try to get me caught up again. Nobody, right? So it doesn't mean that you don't keep living your life. It just means that being a black man, I don't care what anybody says, means you must be strategic. You have to be strategic. And somebody says, would you adopt? I did adopt. So when I talk to you guys, when I say I have multiple children, it's because I chose a different strategy of parenthood. I didn't find a situation where I wanted to be married. I'm going to get married, but I wasn't going to let anybody pressure me into it. But along the way, I would just meet these kids that didn't have a father, and I say, hey, you know what? I enjoy being a dad. I'll be your dad. You call me like a dad. I like that dad role. It's a fun role to have. But what's not fun is dealing with this fucking child support system because it's fucking horrible. It's racist. It's disrespectful. It's terrible. And so ultimately, I think, you know, when you're talking about this whole idea, right? This whole thing about taking the stimulus check from men who owe child support, or women. I guess women as well, but it's usually men. We know how it works. I don't have any problem with that. You know, we know children have to eat. And I think that, you know, those of you who don't think that these mothers deserve support with the children, I think that you need to reconsider that position because, you know, mothers don't get a day off. Mothers don't get to say, well, because I'm broke, my child doesn't get to eat, right? Mothers don't get to just buy the baby toys on his birthday or Christmas and then get to be called a good parent. Right? Mothers have to feed you every day. Now, the reward for that, though, is that children are very, very close to their mothers. They're usually closer to their mothers than they are their fathers. So I believe that the sacrifice mothers make as moms gets rewarded by love and just unconditional love that money can't buy later on in life. And so I think that there is a balance there. But I do think a couple of things. One, we can't forget that it's ideal that the child has both of the parents in their life, or even better if they're in the same household. You know, I think that for us to get used to this idea that kids don't need a dad is incredibly flawed. I mean, that's why you got all these boys turn out so fucked up. Seriously, I mean, a lot of these men don't even know how to have a good relationship with a woman or how to be a father because they never had a man to watch. You know, I had a conversation. I was talking to David Banner one time, and I hope David doesn't mind me sharing this discussion because I told my dad about it today. And David and I were talking about fathers and how important fathers are. And David said, man, you know, to tell you the truth, he said, when I used to not know what to do, he said, I used to just think to myself, well, what would my father do? And I said, I did the same thing. So I can't imagine not having that reference to go back to. Remember, the advantage that the girls struggle because they don't have the dads too. But they struggle for different reasons than the boys. This is just Uncle Boyce talking here. I hope it's okay. Give me a yes or no if it's okay for me to go into Uncle Boyce mode for a minute, where I'm the older guy who's got old school advice, and it ain't scientific. It's just based on what I've seen. So is it okay for me to be Uncle Boyce for a minute? I hope that's okay, because I'm not a social worker. I'm not a scientist on this, but this is what I've seen. The girls struggle from not having a father for certain reasons that typically relate to how they end up in relationships, the types of men that they choose, who they have kids with. They don't know what a quality man looks like because they've never really had one in their house every single day, right? But one advantage that the girls have that the boys don't have is they have a consistent coach and a role model right in front of them all the time. Like one day, watch how little girls follow their mothers around and are constantly being corrected by their mothers. Like, no, you wash that dish better. No, baby, pick that up. No, stand over here. No, sit still. No, pull your skirt down. No, move over here. Right? Like, the mothers are always giving that constant coaching to the girls, and it shows, right? Black women are on their shit when it comes to accomplishment. Right, when it comes to, going to college and getting that third master's degree and making money and having everything on point. Like, black women are kind of the best in the world at that. Like, I think the study says that they're the most educated group of people on the planet. And it's because they get great coaching from their mothers, right? Where they end up struggling is in the relationships with black men. And some of them struggle because they choose the wrong men. Or they maybe have the right man and respond to him in the wrong way. Because you just don't know. You just don't know. Right? Like, I'll go back to, now let's flip genders. Because when you talk about that too much, people start making it a sexism conversation. So let's just flip the gender so you can see my point. So Richard Pryor was absolutely horrible with women. I mean, absolutely horrible with women. He had 7 wives. I think 2 of them he married twice. I think one wife was wife 3 and 4. Another wife was like wife 2 and 7. It was something. It was crazy. I mean, this man, he told Pam Grier, "I'm gonna marry you Tuesday," and then Pam finds out that he's marrying another lady on the same. I mean, it was ridiculous, crazy what he did. What was going on with women. Well, if you go back to Richard Pryor's beginnings, what does anybody know anything about Richard Pryor's mother? What did Richard Pryor's mother do for a living? What was her profession? Does anybody know? She was a prostitute. So he talked about growing up and, he made jokes about it because that was the way he dealt with his pain. But he talked about, seeing guys show up saying, "Hey, boy, where your mama at?" Right? And then his mama would take the man back into a room, and then the man would come out zipping his pants up or whatever. Or he would make jokes and say, "Hey, is your mama around? I want to get my dick sucked." Right? Like he said he would make jokes like that. And that's not funny. Like, that's a horrible joke to have to make. But that's what Richard Pryor grew up with. And so it does not surprise you, or it shouldn't surprise you, that when Richard grew up, he became, he saw women in a specific way. It was like playing a specific role. His relationships had a specific format that doesn't make sense to those of us who grew up with a mother who wasn't a prostitute. If your mama was not a hooker growing up, say I. How many of you in here had a mama growing up who was not a prostitute? Right? Or how many of you grew up with a mama that was in the house every day taking care of you on a consistent basis? Say I. Right? Now why does that matter? Well, because if you think about this, right? So Richard Pryor had crazy relationships with women, dysfunctional relationships with women, multiple divorces that largely linked back to the fact that his mother was a prostitute, emotionally unavailable, and just a problematic parent all the way around, right? So what do you think happens to black women when they feel that way about their fathers? Richard Pryor had tough relationships with women because he did not really like his mother, right? Well, the same thing's going to happen to a young girl who does not like her father. A man who has issues with his mother is going to also have issues with women. A woman who has issues with her father is going to have challenges with men. Because 76% of black women grow up without their father in the house. And a large percentage of them grow up not respecting their dad, not seeing their dad, not relating to their dad. And you see it spin out, and it shows itself in the way our relationships are structured or the types of men that they choose. So this is not a criticism or a critique on men or women. This is really just me describing what I observed. And the thing is, so, when I think about the men, and I think about a household where you got, let's say, 2 sisters and 2 brothers and 1 mama and no daddy. The daughters have a consistent role model, but they don't have consistent affection coming from an adult of the opposite sex because daddy's nowhere around or whatever, right? Or maybe daddy's out of the house for whatever reason, right? The boy, he's getting consistent love and support from his mother, from the opposite gender, right? But he's not getting guidance and instruction from a strong male in the household, right? So he grows. So maybe theoretically, in many cases, some of you have probably seen this, right? Where you grow up with the daughters, they go to Harvard and they get master's degrees and they make $200,000 a year, but they end up in these crazy relationships with weak ass, shitty ass men who don't take care of their kids or whatever, or they end up with divorce after divorce or breakup after breakup, and they don't know why, right? Now the boy, maybe he meets some quality women, but because he's not a quality man, he doesn't even know how to respond to that. He doesn't know how to be the rock of the household because he was never trained to do that. Some of these boys get so spoiled by their mothers that they become absolute pieces of shit in society. They have no ability to go out and make a family and take care of that family. They don't know nothing about taking care of no woman. They don't know nothing about accountability. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You've seen this. You've seen guys who are basically grown ass little babies, right? Their penises work, so they know how to go make a lot of kids, but whenever shit gets hard, they show up with an excuse. Well, I was gonna pick up the baby on Tuesday at 5, but I got a flat tire. How am I supposed to get there with a flat tire? Well, if you'd had a father in the house, your father would have said, no, you figure it out. You figure that shit out because your children need you to be consistent and reliable. Your children need you to be a rock, not a sponge. Your children need you to be solid, not flimsy. Your family, your woman needs you to just figure it out, show up, do your best all the time, no matter what, because that's what a man's supposed to do. You see, so when I think about what my father gave me, and I was lucky, I was raised by a real man. My biological father, for whatever reason, he wasn't there. And when I've studied his life, I wasn't impressed with him. He died not too long ago, and I'm not in any way disparaging his memory, but I will say that my research, my evidence on him said to me that he would not have been a great person to have raised me in the first place. So I got lucky. And I will tell you that if I gained anything from my dad, it was that the idea of simply always committing to doing your best no matter what. Okay, the situation sucks, but you don't sit down on your ass and give up. Yeah, it's hard, but you got to figure out another solution. Yeah, I got a flat tire, but I got on the bus because I don't want to let my kids down. Like, that's really, really important. And those are all the thoughts that went through my mind. So I took this one issue. I know I took this issue and I just made it into about a bunch of other stuff. But I think that what just really got me was I saw a picture, like it was a meme. I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram's The Real Boyce Watkins, so feel free to follow me on Instagram if you want to. And it was an image of a black man falling out, like he just fainted because he found out that his coronavirus check is going to be taken because he owes back child support. And it made me think about weak ass men, or maybe men who don't believe in accountability. And it made me think about also just the structure of our families and why we do think it's so, why some people feel that it's not fair and it's draconian to take a man's money to take care of the children that he chose to create. What I will say is this. This is just a fundamental point that I really believe in to the core of my heart. I believe men and women are not the same. I believe men and women are different. I just believe that we're different. I believe we have different purposes and different approaches and different destinies, different expectations, and I think that that's okay. I think that double standards are supposed to exist. And one thing I will say is that I talked to my dad about, we had that conversation today, and I talked to him about the story he told me about when he was in Vietnam. And he said that when he got to Vietnam, he was 17 years old, and the first night he was there, first of all, when it came time to jump out of the plane, he wasn't ready to jump out, so they pushed him out of the plane. So imagine that, being pushed. You're 17 years old, you're 10,000 miles away from home, and they push you out of the plane. And he said that night, he said he slept in a trench. He had to sleep in a trench, and he heard these bombs going off, in the background, and he said to himself, he said at that moment, I decided that I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to get back home to my family. I don't care what I got to do. I'm gonna find a way to get back to my family. And I told him, I said, man, when you told me that story, I said, I already respected you. I said, but stories like that make me really respect you, because I think about your legacy just as a human being. I think about the fact that that in that situation, under that pressure, you could have responded in a lot of ways. You could have buckled and folded. You could have got hooked on drugs, for life, and then you would have had an excuse. Like, oh, I went through this trauma in Vietnam, and that's why I've been smoking crack for 30 years, right? We hear it all the time, right? And I'm not saying it's not illegitimate. It just is, right? You could have become suicidal. You could have went over and just said, man, I'm just going to die anyway. I'm just going to give up. But you didn't. You made a decision that you were going to do your best and do whatever you had to do to make it happen, to survive and to get home. And I said that it's because of that. I mean, think about that. I said it's because you made choices like that you and I are even talking right now today. Your children, your whole family, this whole family that we have, none of this would exist if you had made different choices. Right? So my argument, my belief is that when you talk about the state of the black man in America and how we've been made to be so weak, so fragile, just a bunch of big vaginas. Like really, I think that's what they've made us into, because you a bunch of big vaginas, because they screwing you, and you're soft as hell. A lot of us as men, I just think we just don't even know what manhood looks like. When you sit here talking about what the white man did to you, and that's why you can't get your life together, because what the white man did to you, you're talking about another human being. You're talking about another man, and you're putting him in a position of a god. Like, you're talking about imagine if a basketball player, imagine if LeBron James went on the basketball court and faced up against Steph Curry and said, we would have won more championships if Steph wasn't always taking my championships away, if he wasn't always scoring all those dang points. I mean, that ain't right. He's scoring all the points. He ain't sharing no points with nobody, right? Like, that would sound really stupid, right? It wouldn't even make any sense, right? Why? Well, because LeBron's a competitor. LeBron's a winner. LeBron finds a way to be a champion. Sometimes he doesn't get it, but he'll never not be a champion because he didn't try, right? Or Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan nobody handed him 6 NBA titles. Michael Jordan wasn't supposed to win any. There were articles written in 1989 where they were openly asking, will Michael Jordan ever be able to win a title? Well, he wasn't going to ever win a title as the man that he was. Michael Jordan was never going to win a title as the player he was in 1988-89. Michael Jordan had to evolve into the man that was worthy of the titles that he was trying to have. He had to become a man that was worthy of manifesting the reality that he had planned for his own life. He couldn't just wish that he had the trophy. He had to figure out, okay, what do I got to do in order to make this happen? What do I got to do to get past the Detroit Pistons? What do I got? Okay, I need to get stronger. So he went and started lifting weights. Okay, my jump shot's not good enough. So he started working on his jumper. My defense isn't good enough. So he works on his defense, right? So it's about evolution, right? It's literally in this fucking world, and this is the bottom line. Has anybody ever heard the term survival of the fittest? Yes or no, if you are familiar with that term and that ideology. It comes from biology. Survival of the fittest says that if you can't evolve, then you will die. If you can't evolve, then you don't deserve to live. You don't deserve the trophy. You don't deserve to have a fucking legacy. You don't deserve to exist. It really says, and I'm not saying this is the way the world should be. I'm just talking about the way the world is. Survival of the fittest says that if you can't evolve, then you will perish. Not only will you perish as a man, but everything about you will perish. If you go all throughout history, anytime one country conquered another, first thing they would do is they would do every single thing they could to destroy their legacy. They would tear down their statues. They would make sure the children were never taught about you. They would burn down sacred buildings. They would destroy everything that ever existed that even shows that you were around. So, as a man, really, you have a choice. I mean, if you don't choose strength or at least choose to go out fighting, then somebody's going to just erase you from the earth because biology says, Boyce didn't say it. Uncle Boyce ain't said it. Biology, God and Mother Nature said, you're not even significant enough to be here. You don't matter. So when I go back to when I think about my dad, I talked about him about that. I said, think about this. If you were a punk, if you were weak, if you had gave up, none of all this stuff that you have, this family, this legacy, these grandchildren would not be here. There were lesser men who gave up, or maybe they got unlucky, right? Because, it's war, right? Things happen, right? Who don't get any of that. Their legacy's wiped away because they lost the battle. So I will just say to you this. This is just me being honest and me sharing what's on my mind today. I believe when you're black, I believe every single day you're at war. And I believe that men have to understand this especially well because every day you're at war, not just with white supremacy. You're not just always at war with other people. You're at war with every single thing that's keeping you from creating the legacy or the reality or the destiny that you believe that you deserve. You can go through life wishing things work out for you. You can go through life hoping that things go well. You can go through life hoping that somebody will give something to you. But that doesn't work. Really, if you talk to me about manhood, like what I really believe about manhood, I don't even know if I sound old-fashioned or mean when I say it, but I really believe manhood is about power. With powernomics, if you read the definition of power in powernomics, Dr. Claude Anderson says that power, let me see if I can find it here. I don't know if I can have it. Powernomics, power, he talks about power. Let's talk about power. Let's take out the nomics for a minute. We're not talking about economics now. We're talking about just power. Power is the ability to get things done despite the resistance and opposition of others. So the ability to get things done, the ability to manifest a reality despite the opposition of others. And others might be other people, right? Because if Michael Jordan wanted to manifest himself as an NBA championship, he had to get through Charles Barkley. He had to get through Patrick Ewing, who felt like he deserved a championship. He had to get through Gary Payton. He had to get through all these other guys who were alpha males, extraordinary athletes, who felt like, no, I deserve the title. He had to get through Karl Malone and John Stockton, right? All these guys deserve the title. So the question was, how's he going to get his manifestation despite the opposition of others? He never showed up to pick up a trophy and have somebody hand it to him. He had somebody blocking him in every way that they could, and they used every weakness they could find. The Detroit Pistons, they had what they call the Jordan rules, where they literally figured out, they would study his play, and they figured out every weak spot he had. And so every time he would go try to dunk the ball, what did they do? They'd whack him upside the head because they knew his weakness was that he was physically weak. He wasn't very strong, right? So that's what life is, I believe, for the black man. White supremacy is going to spot your weakness and use that weakness against you. And when they do that, you have a choice. You have a choice to either evolve or to fold. Too many black men fold. Too many black men, and again, this is encouraged by society. White liberals encourage you to fold. They say, well, you're black, so of course you're not going to be able to take care of your children. Of course you're not going to have any wealth. Of course you're not going to be able to read because you're black. I mean, my gosh, it's so hard being black, right? So maybe your mama encourages you to fold. Some of y'all got raised by your mama, and your mama was the first one to say, oh, come here, baby, it's going to be all right. He can't take care of them babies because it's hard. He lost his job. How's he going to be able to pay child support if he ain't got no job, right? Like, people who hate you, people who want to see you weak, are the people that are going to hand you excuses and allow you to use them. Those are what they call enablers. Just like with a drug addict. An enabler of a drug addict is somebody who says, well, I understand why you got to keep smoking crack because, your childhood was hard, so here's some more crack, right? Like those are enablers. And a lot of black men have enablers in our lives that lead to the dumb shit like men having a bunch of kids and not taking care of the babies. Seriously, it's the enablers. So remember, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to create an asshole. It takes a village to create a loser. It takes a village to create an irresponsible human being, right? So when that man has 8 kids with 6 mamas and a whole family around him that ain't saying shit to him about it and is making excuses for him, well, just understand that he wasn't created in a vacuum. Just understand that. We're all connected to that. We're all responsible on some level. So I don't want to talk about this to sound like I'm preaching and trying to be holier than thou. I am not out here trying to make anybody feel bad about, the choices you made or the life you have. Some of y'all got kids and some of y'all got shitty baby daddies. Some of y'all got shitty baby mamas. Some of you are shitty baby daddies. Some of you are shitty baby mamas. That's between you and your family. I'm not here to judge any of that. Right? Ain't nobody in here perfect, including me. Ain't nobody in here perfect. I'm just laying out some observations that I've picked up. Again, I'm going into Uncle Boyce mode, and thank you for allowing me to do that. These are things I've just picked up in terms of understanding what is necessary for you to overcome these hurdles. There has to be a point, I believe when I think about words like accountability, I believe that accountability means that even if there's a situation where you don't have complete control over that situation, I don't think you're ever better off by relinquishing control to another person, right? So even though I know that the white man has always got his thumb up my ass, always trying to take me down, always standing in my way, always blocking, always stealing, always doing whatever, I know it's out there, but I don't win by surrendering to white supremacy. I don't win by surrendering to my limitations or bad habits. I don't win when I surrender to the circumstances that are there. At the very least, like if you want to know what goes on inside my head, what I'm really thinking about when I'm really fighting battles or whatever, whether they're public battles or private battles, I always have to get myself and look myself in the mirror and say, okay, boys, you might not win. But the only victory I want you to pursue is the victory that says, I did my best. I did not give up. I'm going to be relentless. And if I go down bloody and burning, then goddamn it, I still won because you did not defeat my soul. You did not defeat my spirit. So that's what I want you to take away from this conversation. Those of you guys on Instagram, by the way, you're going to go out in a second. When you go out, I'll just restart it again so we can say a proper goodbye. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that this helps somebody in here. I'm not shaming anybody. This is not attacking anybody. This is me just telling you what's really on my mind when I see this, and hopefully giving you something that's going to help you fight through whatever battles and demons you're facing in your life. Because believe me, when I tell you, everybody's got them. Everybody's got shortcomings. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody comes up short. Everybody has their issues. Everybody has their bad habits. Everybody has their embarrassments. And I just want you to keep on going. That's what I think is going to make black people great again. When we talk about making black people great again, like using that Trump language, like that's what's going to make black people great again. I truly believe that a lot of our journey is a spiritual journey. The worst thing that white supremacy took away from you is your spirit. And I want you to just kind of hone in on that and believe in yourself. So I hope that this helped you guys. And I want to say thank you for hanging out with me today. Thank you guys on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, go to The Real Boyce Watkins. And also the Black Financial Channels on Instagram. Also, don't forget that we're doing Black Movie Night on the 2nd of April. Thursday night, Tierra KJ Williams is going to be there along with Roosevelt Mitchell III and Amani Walker and Nomalanga Mushali Moses. And we're going to show a film, and we're trying to build our own Black Hollywood and create our own Black movie stars. So if you'd like to join us at Black Movie Night, it's totally free. Go to blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. Also, one thing I want to mention to you guys is that if you are interested, if you like, if there's something that you benefit in terms of support on life management, life coaching, if you want to call it that, or motivation to get you through whatever situations you're dealing with. I did actually create a program around that, and you can try it out for the first 30 days. It won't cost you anything. It's blackkeystogreatness.com. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. So feel free to go check out blackkeystogreatness.com if you want to know more about the stuff that goes on in my head. And literally, I laid out the whole framework based on my philosophy on life. I see life as a sport. I see life as a battle. I see life as a chess match. I see life as a wonderful opportunity to become who you are by tapping into your personal superpower. So I want you to figure out what your superpower is and hold on to that and just go hard in the paint every single day of the week, every hour of the day, because your children are watching you when you do this, and they're going to learn from you, and that's what it takes to build a strong community. So take care, guys. Hit the thumbs up button before you go. Hit the share, subscribe, and like button, all the good stuff. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good day, and stay away from the coronavirus. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV.